Keep watching to learn how to do a flawless foundation application that'll last all day long. Hey guys, it's Cam and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to build upon my previous video, which was all about steps that you can take before applying your foundation in order to make it not separate during the day and just really last and give you that nice poreless finish. And I'm going to be linking that sort of foundation prep video right up here for you. But today I wanted to expand upon that and show you the actual application of foundation. And I did half of my face using a kabuki brush and half of my face using a beauty sponge. So let me know, can you tell the difference? Let me know which side you think is which down below in the comments. And of course, if you're excited about getting a poreless and long-lasting foundation application, then please hit that like button down below for me. And of course, don't forget to subscribe because we're right in the middle of my how-to makeup series, and I'm gonna link that entire playlist right up here for you, so that way you don't miss any of the videos in it. Also, while this is a full coverage foundation routine essentially, you can also do this with light and medium coverage foundations. All of these application techniques will work on them, and it's really just a matter of picking the coverage that you want. I just wanted to show you something full coverage so that way you can kind of layer on as much makeup as you want without fear of it looking muddy on your skin. Alrighty, so let's get into it. Okay, so I just did all of the steps that I already explained in the how to make your foundation last all day video, which I'm gonna link up here for you so you can see what I did before even starting to apply foundation. So let's get into the actual foundation part. So today I'm gonna be using the Maybelline Superstay foundation. It is an amazing drugstore option, and I just wanted to do something really nice and full coverage so that you have a great base to layer all of your makeup over. And what I'm gonna do is show you two different applications. I'm gonna do this half of my face with a sponge, and this is the Real Techniques complexion sponge. And the other half of my face, I'm gonna use my Sigma 3D HD Kabuki brush for. So that way you can see the way that different applicators affect how your foundation applies. So if your skin is a little more on the dry side, or you just want a sheerer coverage with your full coverage foundation, I know that sounds weird, but you know, if you feel like it's a little hard to spread out over your face, then going with the damp sponge is definitely what you're gonna prefer. So I'm just gonna start by dotting this over my face. And you want to concentrate most of your product in the center of your face where you're going to have like a lot of pigmentation, because you don't want to have harsh edges with your foundation because then it's just going to look like a mask. So I'll show you how to blend all of that nicely. And then once you have your foundation on, start by just kind of moistening it in every part since your sponge is a little damp. Now, of course, make sure the sponge is damp and not dripping wet. I like to squeeze it out into a towel or a paper towel to really make sure it's not dripping. And as you can see, we are starting to get some coverage here. As I have less product to work with, I'm going to start going to the peripherals of my face. So this is when I would make sure it's blended into my hairline, but you don't want to overlap too much on your hair because then you'll actually have foundation on your hair. And it's very obvious when you do that. You can also spread some out under your eye and over your eye, even though we're still going to go over that with concealer. And you may need to apply some extra layers, especially because the sponge does apply this a little more on the sheer side. And then once you get to the side of your face, what you're gonna wanna do is make sure that there's no line of demarcation here and by your ear. So I just like to lift some hair out of the way and make sure that I blend it right here behind the hairline a little bit and onto the ear. And then of course, blend down into the neck. And however much you want to go really depends on whether you're tanned, how good of a color match your foundation is. So I just like to do right over here. I don't like to go too far down unless I have some actual blemishes on my neck that I do need to cover. And what you're really doing with this is like pressing and dabbing motions and ensure that you don't have any streaks. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other half, but I'm going to use the Sigma 3D HD Kabuki brush. This is a really nice synthetic brush, and I love the shape because it really lets you get into all the crevices of your face. So now I'm going to show you how I apply my foundation using the brush. And once again, I am just taking some on my finger and dotting it on my face. And then you can blend this in a variety of ways. You can literally buff it in circles, but I don't recommend this if your skin is on the sensitive side, because what may happen is a lot of the friction can cause extra redness, which is why I don't really like to do it that way. So what I'm gonna do is a little bit more of a pressing and stippling motion. Also, if you have any sort of skin texture or dry patches or baby hairs on your face, then you're gonna want to sweep it down in the direction of everything so that it lays flat. And that is another reason why I don't really buff it in circles, but you can totally do that. Then once I have it a little more distributed, I'm gonna go into the hairline and start blending it out there. Now I'm going to get another layer going just for extra coverage. And again, whichever method you're going to choose, whether it's applying with a brush or a sponge, is really going to depend on your skin texture and also the texture of the foundation that you're working with. So for instance, I feel like this foundation does work better with the damp sponge, and it's a little harder to blend out with the brush. So now we're going to apply our concealer, and for this I'm using the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer, and I'm in the shade C2. And I'm just going to apply this under my eyes, covering my cheeks a little bit, on my eyelids to prep for eyeshadow. And I'm going to blend this in again using the sponge on this side and the brushes on this side. And again, to really blend it into the crevices of your face, you can use the edge of the sponge. Okay, and now I'm going to use the brush. And this is where you can really see that the brush does give a fuller coverage effect. Now, if you're using something like a flat top kabuki or a rounded one, and you can't really get precisely into the corners of your face, I like to go in with the Sigma 3D HD Precision brush, and this one again is the pointed design, but it's much smaller than the original one, and so I like to go in with this one just to blend everything out in the corners of my face. Okay, so now that that's done, it is time to set all of this. And today I'm going to be using my e.l.f. translucent powder. This is just a loose powder. And the two brushes that I'm going to be using for this are the setting brush from Real Techniques and the powder brush from Real Techniques. So again, you're going to want something small to get under the eye and on the eyelid, and something large and fluffy just to get all over your face. But you definitely want to make sure that you're not setting any lines or creases into your skin. So obviously try to do this as soon as possible after you finish applying your foundation. But what I like to do is have some powder ready in the cap that I'm going to be using. And then I'm going to show you on the sponge side, for example, that I will take my setting brush, dip it into the powder a little bit, and then go over my under eye area just to make sure all the creases and lines are blended out. And then I set immediately with the brush. And you want to pat, not move the product around. So you're just going to pat the powder in. And then do the same thing on top for your eyelid, because I'm already starting to get a crease here. So I'm going to take the brush, dip it into the setting powder, take my sponge, blend out the creases, and then with the brush, start applying this to my eyelid. Now we're going to go back into the brush side, and again, I am going to take my setting brush, dip it in some powder, get it all nice and ready, And with the 3D HD Precision brush, I'm just gonna make sure that there are no creases under my eye. And then I'm gonna set. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the top lid. Make sure there are no creases on my lid. Then take the setting brush and set. Okay, now once you've done that, I'm going to take the big fluffy powder brush and take some of the translucent powder and start setting the rest of my face. I like to concentrate most of this on the bottom around my jawline because that is where it's most likely to try to rub off. And if you need help getting into the corners of your nose, then you can take the smaller brush and just get the sides and corners of the nose. Alrighty, now I'm going to talk a little bit about baking. And if you have very dry skin, then baking may end up making your skin feel very tight, but it is a very good way of making sure that your foundation stays put in those areas that you want to bake and really gives you a nice poreless finish. So I don't do this every day, maybe just for a special occasion or when it's summertime and my skin is feeling a little more oily. Now personally, I like baking with my sponge because it really lets you pack on that powder. So I'm going to take a bunch of the powder from the cap onto my sponge and then press it under my eye. You can really layer on as much or as little powder as you want. And then I'm going to go down the side of my nose too. I'm going to do this on the brush side as well, just because I feel like the application is a lot better with a sponge. And just because I get extra oily around my nose, I like to put some down the center of my nose as well. If you've already done your contour or you want to sharpen up the contour, or if you just get oily over here, you can also apply some right here on your jawline. And now you just wait while that bakes on your face. And what I like to do is get started on my eyeshadow on my lid, and then once I'm done with that, brush off the bake and then do the lower lash line. But you can do whatever you want. You can keep this on however long you want, and then you would just brush it off afterwards. And now we wait. Alright, so when you're finally happy with how long you've been baking, take a large brush, and I like to use the Sigma tapered face brush because it's got a pointed end, but it's also very large and fluffy, and this is great for brushing your bake off. So we're just going to sweep it off. And now that foundation feels really locked in and tight wherever we baked. So obviously powder is a great way to keep your makeup in place all day, but it can look a little cakey, especially for someone like me with dry skin. And so whether you've just applied your powder or did your baking, I recommend going in with a setting spray afterwards to really just kind of moisten things back up a little bit. It's going to give you an extra layer of protection to lock that foundation in, but it's also going to help the powder and foundation melt a little bit so that it doesn't look very cakey. And I like to use really nice long-lasting ones. So I have the Urban Decay All-Nighter spray here, and this is the Milani Make It Last. Both of these are really nice and long-lasting and really lock your makeup in place. So today I'm going to go in with the Urban Decay All-Nighter, and then you always want to shake it up and then hold it about a foot away from your face when you spray it. And of course, close your eyes and don't breathe it in. And then just to really make sure there's no droplets left on your face, you can fan it in. Now, as you can already see, this has done a good job moistening up that powder a little bit and just getting rid of the cakiness. And so the really great thing about setting spray is it is something that you can reapply during multiple steps of your makeup or throughout the day if you just want it to really last. And so even though I've just done my foundation, once I let this dry, I can go in with my contour, blush, and highlight, and it'll have no problem blending on my skin. And then once my makeup is done, I usually like to go in with another spritz of this to help lock all of that in place. And again, if your skin is dry or you just want your makeup to last really long, you can definitely reapply this throughout the day. But that is it. This is our foundation application. So I'm going to show you a little more closely. This is the side that we applied with the sponge. And then this is the side that we used the brush on. So let me know in the comments which one you think looks better and which method of applying foundation you prefer. So that is it. I hope you learned how to apply your foundation like a pro now. And if you did find this video helpful, please hit that thumbs up button down below for me. And don't hesitate to leave me a comment if you have any other questions about foundation or if you have any other video that you want me to do. And of course, we are in the midst of my How to Makeup series. This series seriously is going to be like crazy. I mean, I have so many ideas. I don't know, I think it might go on all year because we're just getting started and I've got to do liner, I've got to do lashes still, and I'm also going to be showing you how to do different types of eye looks so that way you can really step up your makeup game this year. So it's gonna get crazy, and you definitely want to subscribe so you don't miss out on any single video. And again, I'm gonna link that playlist up here for you so you can check out other videos in the series. And if you wanna watch some more from me, here's 2 more videos that you can check out. And then click on my face because it'll subscribe you to my channel so that you don't miss out on all of my videos. Thank you so much for watching, my loves, and I'll see you in my next video.